I gotta say, I like your tiki shack there. It's pretty sweet.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into this place.
Yeah.
Me and the missus built it all.
It's nice. Yeah, we our other show, Bar Talk, we were recording out in Vegas, and we went to, I think it's Frankie's Tiki Room or Frankie's
Mhm.
Tiki Hut or something like that.
Yeah.
Such a cool like dive tiki bar, but it was like the darkest room I've ever been in that had electricity.
Yeah, they make ridiculously strong drinks at Frankie's. I mean, they got some competition there now. Golden Tiki's kind of come up in the last couple of years. They got decent bartenders now. It's
Yeah.
just it's just a cool culture that's been kind of revived and celebrated, and it's fun to be part of. And there's lots of ex-punk rockers in it, which is great.
Oh, really? It's always interesting in like those kind of overlaps of like
Yeah,
where certain cultural things.
where do these alternative culture people go when they're not, jumping up and down on the top of a police car anymore?
You get too old for that shit, you know? You're like, I'm gonna stand next to the police car while you jump up and down on it.
Exactly. I'll
Yeah.
just feel like mixing up a drink on the back end of the car.
Yeah. So, listeners, if you haven't already pieced things together, we are talking to Pinch. It's cool to call you just Pinch.
Yep.
The drummer for Me First and the Gimmie Gimmies. And I have to thank my editor who many years ago turned me on to the Gimmies and been a fan. And weirdly, we have mutual friends, and that's how we managed to get you on the show. So I want to say thanks first for coming on.
Well, thanks to Brucey for hooking us up.
Yeah, good dude. Good dude.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of doing, I don't usually do a lot of research, but I kind of was poking around a little bit. Um, is it right that you were a boxer for a bit, or you wanted to be a boxer?
Yeah. Yeah. I was to kind of keep me out of trouble. The old man sent me to this Irish boxing club in this town where we used to live, and I got really into it. I don't know really why, but I guess it was better than like playing with toy soldiers down the park. So yeah, 8 years old, I was doing fights, and you're not supposed to do it until I think you're 11 or something like that. So the first bunch of fights I had with Rugby Irish got scrubbed off my card, which is quite good because I lost most of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say 8-year old. I feel like that's like that's I don't know, an 8-year old boxing match just feels like dogfighting.
Yeah, but you know what it's like. I mean, amateur or professional, it's all a little bit, shady under the
Yeah.
table, like, interesting looking gentlemen quaffing expensive drinks and smoking cigars, a little bit like me right now, mixed in with people who would sell you a caravan and a dog and then steal it both back.
Oh, that made me think of Snatch. I love that movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's very much like that.
Is it really?
I vividly remember fighting on these shows when I was, 10, 11, 12 years old, where it's, the local round table or Lions Club, which over here, I guess, translates to what's the ones who wear the fezzes?
Oh, the
Rhino?
Shriners. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's that kind of private men's club where all the,
yeah.
well-to-do businessmen go and rub elbows and, pass stock trading tips. So yeah, you're just fighting in clouds of cigar smoke and just these, pot-bellied old fuckheads looking at two young boys beating the crap out of each other. Perfectly healthy pastime, right?
That's totally normal. Absolutely. Can't be anything shady going on there.
Yeah, definitely not. But
And
yeah, I survived that all right. I ended up having a pretty good career, and I transitioned from boxing when I was 15 because I got a mohawk when I got into punk rock.
yeah.
Eventually got a mohawk, and I started losing fights for no other reason than people weren't ready to see a mohawk in the ring.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was furious. My trainer was furious because I had a really good record up till then, and it was just getting taken away from me. It was, another
Oh,
one of
so
another one of life's great injustices.
so like the decisions were going to the other guy.
Yeah,
I
I
got you.
plainly destroyed the kid, and it was
Yeah.
kids I'd fought before. And it was in the days before video, so you can't do any video review. And my boss, my trainer, who he was definitely a father figure to me. He emigrated to New Zealand or Australia, and I just completely lost interest. I was like,
Yeah.
well, he's gone. He's had enough of it. He saw it for what it was, and I saw it for what it was. I'm like, what's the point in pursuing this? So, I just went. You know, I decided I could put a band together. Seeing the standard of the bands in the UK at that time was, Stiff Little Fingers and UK subs. They'd all gone a bit more poppy. They were wearing the silk shirts now on top of the pops, and I was I wanted something a bit harder than that. So I put this band together with the oldest punk in town as the singer, stole a guitar player from a heavy metal band, and my mate who I hung around with, his mum bought him a bass for Christmas, so that left me being the drummer,
Yeah.
which boxing was a good kind of
Yeah.
training ground for.
It makes sense. They're kind of both, have a lot to do with timing, so that makes a lot of sense.
It was
Yeah.
an easy transition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it about punk music that I grew up pretty much in this general area where I live now?
Mm.
And I was a big metalhead, and I feel like, up through like junior high, I was kind of like not really the advanced placement classes, but I was naturally good at like history and math and that sort of thing. And I feel like gravitating towards metal music was kind of a way of trying to get out of that nerd persona that because I'm not athletic in any way, shape, or form, never have been. So I think it was kind of like that,
Mm.
bit of that subculture that kind of was caught my attention. I mean,
Did you feel like you were rebelling a little?
um, yeah, and my editor will still say that I'm a music snob. I like music right up until other people do,
Mm.
and yeah, I think I was kind of always I always wanted to have kind of like that thing that was mine and not yours, you know? So
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I listen to Metallica. People start listening to Metallica, be like, oh, well, now I'm into Halloween or,
Yeah,
Kingdom Come. Like the second
that's
someone was
definitely
into it,
the
it
thing.
lost interest into me.
Yeah, that's a thing where anybody discovers your precious little secret, and it's not so precious anymore, right?
Right,
That's
right.
the world over thing. I mean, with me, I was kind of destined to be into punk because of just circumstances. I ended up living on my own in a punk squat at 15.
Oh shit.
Um, and uh, you know, it was in a town where Margaret Thatcher was born.
Okay.
So, and it was at the time whilst as she was coming in and was prime minister. So it was the prime Reagan Thatcher era.
Hmm.
And we had a lot to be scared about back then. It was genuinely frightening times where you had an American actor being trained by a British psychopath to potentially, have a non-proxy war. As a massive pissing contest with our European neighbours that weren't very far away from where we were.
Yeah, yeah. It's the world's a big place right up until it isn't, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny is like being an American. I think I was well into my adulthood before I realized that a lot of, Brits did not like Margaret Thatcher. I thought she like it's one of those like, well, I know about her, so she must be like a big deal over there and an
Oh,
important
she
historical.
she is going to go down in history as one of Britain's greatest villains.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
really grassroots level. There are whole areas of the country that you can't mention a name, otherwise you will be literally turfed out of whatever establishment you're in.
Yeah.
You know, it's just bringing up a boogeyman basically.
Yeah.
So
It's funny how England is such like a small geographic area, but I feel like there's so many different like the number of accents over there
oh,
for
it's
such small
hilarious.
area. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's hilarious. Like I was a carpet fitter for a while, and I worked around this city called Nottingham.
yep,
And around Nottingham, within a 20-mile radius, there's 5 different accents. Within 20 miles, it's crazy.
yeah,
I mean, think about it. Historically, it must have been, these villages that ended up joining up. So they were just completely different tribes that lived there from who knows what country and what bastardization of their language they brought to it. But that's got to be why there's so many in such small areas.
yeah. And I mean, you've gotten to go all over the place. Is there a favorite spot in the world that you kind of gravitate towards?
Yeah, not really.
You're not in LA, right?
No, I'm in San Diego.
Okay. I was gonna ask, make sure everything was okay. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like we got a training fire down here.
yeah,
It was,
training fine.
yeah, it was definitely. I mean, we know people who lost everything in LA, and it's a tragedy, and I don't really want to get into the serious aspects of
Yeah.
um, reasons and what could have been done because it's all coulda, shoulda, woulda, and it always is.
Hmm.
But I just wanted to come on here and talk about some fun,
Yeah,
stupid.
I didn't mean to bring it down. That was my bad. Like I just had that sudden like because I've been reaching out to some people and I'll be like, I can't believe this guy's ghosting me, and then they'll be like, I'm not ghosting you. I've been evacuated, and I'm like, oh shit, now I feel like an asshole. So yeah, that's my bad. I didn't mean to bring it down. So where do you like to travel to? That was I think that was my question.
I just like traveling in general. I mean, it's not something I ever thought I would do. I never thought I'd end up living in America. I never thought I'd end up marrying an American gal. Next year I'll have been 45 years as a touring drummer, as a touring punk rock drummer. I'm just so lucky. I'm really, really fortunate. I wake up every day thinking about it, thinking how lucky I am. Because, I'm not somebody who could do like instructional videos. I've never had a frigging lesson in my life. I learned
Yeah.
the drum by shuffling my ass onto the stage and, kind of peering around the side at what the drummer was doing and listening to records and just trying to work it out myself.
Did
So,
you have that kind of father figure that you had in boxing? Was there like a drummer that kind of took you under their wing?
no, no. I mean,
No.
with punk rock, it was, it was a definite clan, a family. You could go to any city and, you know, talk to anybody who looked like you because we were all kind of weird, clowny outcasts at the time, and we were definitely in the wars with normal people and Nazi skinheads, which were very popular on the football terraces at the time. Thank you very much, Mr. Gary Bushell. I don't know whether you know who he is, but he
No
formed this.
idea.
Yeah, he formed this movement called Oi, which was, I mean, I never really understood it. It just seemed to me that the only reason for its existence was so that gangs of skinheads could come to punk gigs and fuck shit up, which was not really fun. We were the even though a lot of English Dogs songs were about kind of death and World War III and that kind of thing because that's what we were living.
Yeah.
We were stupid fuckers. We did so many ridiculously stupid things. This squat we lived in it was on the high street, so it was on a main street. I don't know what you would equate it to over here because not many places really have town centres, do they? Where there's that like one main street. So let's call it Main Street. We
Main
were
Street,
above
yeah.
Main, and it was previously occupied by a heavy metal band called Overdrive in Grantham.
Okay.
Uh, they were all kind of a little bit older, and they all had jobs, and they all decided it was, they moved out, and we moved in, and we never paid a penny rent, and we became very creative because, I mean, I was 15. I couldn't get any benefits from the government. I didn't have a job. I mean, I would go pick like cauliflowers and Brussels sprouts in the field at 4 o'clock in the morning for a few quid, steal some milk on the way there, and sell that to the workers. We did, just we survived any way we could. And some of the most genius things we came up with, like we had an electric meter that took 50 pence pieces, so like $half-dollar coins, right?
Yeah.
You put the 50 pence piece in, you turned the dial, the coin dropped through, it gave you, I don't know, 4 hours of electric. So I don't know which genius it was at our house, found out that if you made 50 pence pieces out of ice, it weighed the same and the machine would register as though it had money. So imagine the electric guy's surprise when he came and all he found was like a kind of a rusty box with no money. He's like, "How are you guys powering this house?" I'm like, "Well, we use candles, mate. We ain't got no money. I mean,
yeah,
we do what we can to survive."
I just find it crazy that you had to pay like as you go. That's
well, I mean, nobody had bank accounts, credit cards. Don't forget, son, this is in the days before the internet. Can you believe it? This was 1980.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a few minutes ago.
It's funny. Like I was even talking to someone the other day, and I don't remember how we got on the subject, but it's one of those occurrences or those just thoughts that pop in your head, and you're like, I wonder if my kids know that black and white TVs ever existed. Just that kind of, they're so separate from it.
Yeah.
That like,
can you imagine nowadays if there was 4 stations on the TV and 4 radio stations? That was what the UK went through for.
Yeah.
I mean, for the longest time, there was 2, and then it became 4. It was like, oh, we got 4. That was amazing. When Channel 4 hit the UK, it was a cultural revolution. Yeah. They were really edgy. They were showing like pop videos, and they showed some rock, and some kind of edgy content programming. It was like, ooh,
yeah. And those were all state run too, right? The BBC.
The Channel 4 was independent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I want to say like Richard Branson had something to do with it, the Virgin dude. I might be talking out my ass, but it was definitely that kind of, the youth needs a station, and the youth got a station, and it was great. There was some pretty good stuff on it. I'm pretty sure you could actually see boobs on it as well, which was amazing, and not a terrible thing as a teenager.
Yeah, that's why I remember. I love Monty Python, but I do remember being like, it's funny and there's tits. So,
yeah, I just rewatched Life of Brian again the other day. Wow, what an incredibly talented, clever, funny as shit movie.
Yeah.
It's like, people say, what's the best Metallica album? Well, what's the best Monty Python movie? It's the same. It's just as difficult,
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm always partial to the Holy Grail just because, that was like my first time, like you'll always remember the first time you saw like Monty Python, it was the Holy Grail.
Right.
But just that whole bunch of guys they're so prolific and so much they put out, John Cleese's later acting gigs. Terry Gilliam's still to this day one of my favorite directors. I think his, not profitable, but his stuff is genius.
Yeah, really. I agree. I mean, it was a completely different world, and I think that's what I liked about it. They were all a bunch of, Cambridge and Oxford lovies who'd been in this, Amdram club together and made a good fist of it. So, we were very thankful for it because it was great alternative humor. It was the precursor to a lot of stuff that we've grown to love today because it was influenced by Python.
Yeah, yeah. It'd be a different place if the Python wasn't. That was my introduction to British humor and
Yeah.
kind of
I,
the British entertainment in general. I think that was what got me going.
yeah, yeah. The Brits are quite a funny race when it comes to what they think is funny.
Yeah, yeah, and some of it and even to this day, like I'll watch some stuff, and frequently you'll be like, well, I'm sure that was really funny over there, but it's got enough cultural references in it that I have no idea what they're talking about. But
You know what? I mean, do you remember the young ones?
I know of them, but it was not something I watched. I know it was on MTV for a while,
Yeah,
and
it was like a huge kind of politically right on comedy with a bunch of great comedians, great actors. And I rewatched it and it felt so dated for me. It felt so of the 80s. And I was really kind of disappointed because I wanted to still love it, but I couldn't.
yep,
It's kind of like when Discharge went bad. I
yeah.
really wanted to love Discharge, but I just couldn't.
It's funny because when I'm working in the office here, I usually put something on the TV just so there's background noise.
Mm,
And I recently just put on X-Files. So I'm like, oh, this show is so
mhm.
great. And then just like watching it, you're like, wow, it's really like the acting in season one, not awesome. And it's so dated and just like, wow, yeah. And I remember like learning so many like about like weird cryptids and whatnot from it. And now just being like, oh yeah, I mean like I've known about it for like 30 years. So you're just like, oh yeah, I got it. Jersey Devil, I got it, big deal. But yeah, it
Yeah,
was so of its time that just like watching it back, it's just not. It's
yeah.
still
It's
good,
been
but it's not the same. You
yeah,
know?
it's been surpassed. There's a lot of clever TV. Um, I mean, there has to be. There's just so much content so much time that needs filling.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You think it's a dying thing, TV?
Um. So I don't know, and I I think we're on the verge of some sort of shift in the way that we consume entertainment in general. Like the music industry is so different now. And from doing the podcast, I have learned about so many phenomenal bands and musicians that I've never heard of, And it's like back in the day, this would be on the radio, this would be on MTV. Now you have to like go out and find it. And TV's getting to that way where there's so many good shows and so many like niche things that no one's ever heard about, but these people are making, the multi-million dollar, industry in and of themselves just with their YouTube show and their merchandise. And Joe Sixpack has never heard of it. So I just feel like there's got to be, it's so disorganized and all over the road that I feel like there's got to be some sort of like the way that I can make it make sense is in the US there's so many craft beers and it's the craft beer industry starting to kind of die down because people don't want to go into a place and have 900 choices. Give me four choices, I'll pick one and go from there. And I think that we went from cable to 18 different streaming options, which is probably underselling that. And I just feel like there's too many choices and people are getting tired of looking for stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Nobody's got an attention span anymore, and you might be
Yeah.
right. Might be the same, like with the whole the beer wars. It really is insane that. I mean, just in San Diego alone, there's probably still 150 breweries.
Yeah.
It's just wild, and
In
we're not even anywhere near one of the biggest cities. You go like Denver and Portland and places; it's just nuts up there.
Yeah, yeah.
It,
In Plymouth alone, Plymouth has 7 breweries.
yeah, it's not just beer anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
we were just in the Pacific Northwest for New Year, me and the missus, and we came across just some like mind-blowingly good ciders.
Yep. Yeah.
Like,
There we have a
incredible.
cidery.
Yeah, this one
Yeah.
called Excelsior apple pie imperial cider that was like 8.5%.
I was gonna say if
Oh,
it's an imperial, it's gonna knock your socks off.
it
Yeah.
was absolutely mind-blowingly good.
Yeah.
Now, good on people that they're coming through with a few different things rather than just like how strong can I make an IPA? Yawn.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the other thing is like you make an IPA crazy strong and you're like, cool, I can have one of those,
Yeah,
or I can have, 4 of your Pilsners. And
yeah. Like
it's
I think there's definitely a move towards people drinking either 0% alcohol or
mhm.
very, very low percent alcohol.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, you can still have a night out and drive home at the end of it and
Yeah.
not worry, you know,
And wake up the next day and feel okay.
not farting and burping flowers all day.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So I see you're drinking what are you drinking? I'm gonna ask that because I'm
so
curious.
this is just a Mount Gay rum.
Okay, yeah, Mount Gay's good.
Yeah, it's a Barbados rum. It's, because I'm having a Drew Estate Undercrown 10th anniversary, you need something pretty bold with it.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Drew Estate fan. I like all of their non-infused product.
Infused.
They're responsible for all those like coffee flavored and weird
Uh, they do that
weird.
with cigars too now?
Yeah, it's of course, California being California, you can't ship some of them here, and to some other, some
Yeah.
other state in America won't let you ship them to them. But I mean, I just believe that cigar should be a cigar. The tobacco's tobacco, and let the blenders, who are the experts, create the flavors within the natural tobacco.
I feel so much in common with that statement because I went through a long stretch where I was drinking nothing but like porters and stouts.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time they were like, "Oh, it's a peanut butter cheesecake stout," and I'm like, I just want a
Oh,
stout. Like,
yeah,
don't give me dessert. I just want a stout. Give me a stout flavored stout.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's like the way it's roasted and the way it's brewed should determine how it comes out. You shouldn't have to, throw M&Ms and Reese's in there just to call it something wacky.
right. Yeah, just to
Good,
cover.
Jolly Rancher IPA.
And really, what they're doing is they're trying to make it appeal to people that don't want to drink the stout or IPA. It's like
Yeah,
just make a sugary sweet drink. You know?
are they appealing to children? Do you think? You think there's couldn't be anything
No,
that
I really don't.
alcohol appealing to.
Yeah, that was big in Massachusetts here with the flavored vapes. And they're like, "Oh, they're appealing to children." I'm like, "Are they?"
Mm,
I don't really. I mean, no more than kids want to do things that are adults are doing to be cool. I mean, you could make it still a cigar flavored cigar and kids are still going to go out in the woods and smoke it because they're trying to be grown-ups.
yeah, until they realize, that at 16 years old, it's not cool because with a cigar, you got to make time for yourself. This is a commitment.
Yeah.
You're when you light one things up, you're saying to the world, I'm not being part of you for the next 45 minutes or an hour. I'm taking some time for myself and I'm gonna just sit here and indulge in my own thoughts and be in a relaxed environment. It's like you don't like nip out the back of a gig to have a cigar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
You know,
I don't want to
I'm,
say,
I'm
but maybe I need to take up smoking cigars.
well, it's the byproduct of it lasting so long is that you have to plan it and you have to make time for it. and you have to make time for yourself by extension by doing that. And I think that's a really important thing that I think a lot of people have lost that. They are so embroiled in the constant social media involvement and chasing whatever and just being up to date on everything. It's like at some points you just got to say, fuck the world, I'm lighting up a stogie.
Yeah. Yeah, I have good friends that like probably not every night, but they make it a point to like in nice weather, not right now, it's January. They sit on their deck with a nice, glass of whiskey or whatever and a cigar, and they put an album on their turntable, and they
Huh?
just sit there and hang out with each other. And I'm like, I feel like if more couples did that, there'd be a
I
lot
agree.
more healthy relationships.
It promotes conversation. I mean, unfortunately for my missus, these cigars seem to be wife seeking because
Yeah.
wherever she moves around the deck, the smoke just follows her. Not for her, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it's and I am very much to blame myself. Like I don't make that time to just kind of sit and relax. I'm very much like, oh, I got 2 hours later today. Let me schedule something in there and be productive. And
Uh,
it's
yeah, I think it's kind of a byproduct of that most of my life I've been this like manic little bloody madhead drummer who's kind of been chasing something that doesn't really know what it is, but I've always been busy.
oop, you got a little lag there. I don't know what you just said. Uh-oh. Still there?
You know, uh, uh,
So,
oh, sorry.
that's all right.
See
You
if
just
this
get
is.
oh, that's better. Maybe. No. Maybe try shutting off your video. Sometimes that helps.
See whether I've gone onto a weird
Oh,
Wi-Fi network.
there you go. That's better. You're back.
Oh, oh, it is?
Yeah, you're
Okay.
back now.
Didn't really do anything.
Must have been a passing something. Who knows?
Uh,
But but yeah, I mean it's you. Oh, you were saying that you feel like you were chasing something and not knowing what it is, and
yeah, yeah.
that speaks to me.
Maybe that's why I feel so um what's the right word? So happy to be able to relax for an hour or so with a stogie, because I mean when I left slash got kicked out of English Dogs for very very naughty behaviour at a heavy metal awards ceremony in London. I joined the Damned a week later. I mean, I thought I was done. I was completely poisoned. I'd like literally rugby tackled the editor of the magazine's wife on the dance floor, got carried out, 4 times by security. I woke up in an outside broadcast unit with my head on a video mixing desk outside the Royal Albert Hall with no clue how I got there.
Oh, that's
Uh,
rough.
yeah, and that's who I used to be. And when I joined the Damned, I was kind of replacing this mad drummer who had made a habit of setting drum kits on fire, and people expected bad behavior. It was the Damned, they were the naughty boys.
Yeah.
So I went through this fucking terrible phase of like breaking drum kits and being a complete cockhead. And some would say the phase hasn't really finished, but I feel like I've calmed down quite a lot. Um, Although I am banned from end of tour pranks by our current management since that piece of disgraceful behaviour.
End of
I mean,
tour pranks?
oh, end of tour pranks. I mean, it's the way that you show people that you love them.
Yeah.
So, you don't bother fucking with anybody you don't really care about. But for bands, you might share a month or 2 months or a couple of weeks with people that you get on with so well. You may never meet them again, but you're having such a great time, and you're in this kind of isolated bubble of touring, which it is. It's a really, really weird thing to go on tour and be, if you're lucky, like I've been in the last couple of bands, you're on a tour bus and you're sleeping with another bloke's ass about 12 inches above your head, farting
Yeah.
and burping all night. But you might be also laying on a mattress on the gear in the back of a van, sleeping in a parking lot. So, the road warrior mentality definitely kicks in. So you feel like you are this traveling circus that needs to kind of look out for each other and care for each other and have a laugh with each other. So I've always been a real dick for on the last night, just doing fucking stupid gags. Like we did a tour with when I was with the Dam, we did this thing called the Fiend Fest, where there was the Misfits, which was the only Jerry show at the time.
Hmm.
It was Des Cadena and Marky Ramone was the drummer. Oh my god! So I've got a good Marky Ramone story. Uh, so I basically pranked every band that night because we all got on great. First band was a Japanese band who they kind of dressed like the Misfits. I think they might have signed on their label or something. And they were, Japanese people, very, very regulated, very predictable, very
Yeah.
disciplined. So I knew the drummer, like they went through the first 3 or 4 songs, no breaks, just like 1, 2, 3, 4 into every single song. So I just filled all his cymbals and hi-hats up with flour, knowing that when he hit them, it would just be like poof, 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 poof. And yeah, he looked like a ghost after about 30 seconds. But of course, he didn't stop. He just carried on through it, and that was pretty funny. The next band up was DI, California old punk band, and we'd been traveling through these states where you get fireworks. So I got this roll of 1,500 firecrackers and strapped it underneath his drum stool and set it off at the end of the last song. And instead of running off, he just flattened himself against the kick drum, and the LD just turned all the house lights off, and it looked like the Metallica One video. These,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
it takes the 1,500 firecrackers to go off. That was pretty funny. I think next up was Agnostic Front,
Okay.
who they're naughty boys, so I didn't want to fuck with them too bad. So I just made this sign for the front of the bass drum so the drummer couldn't see it. But he used to enjoy smoking crack under his hoodie while they were traveling along in the van. So I just made this "I heart crack" sign for them. That was a mellow one. And the Dickies, of course, they do famous for doing banana splits. So I brought in about 20 pounds of bananas and gave them to everyone. Like, when they play banana splits, let's pelt them with bananas. But no, as soon as people got bananas in their hands, they were peeling them and just throwing mushy banana all over the
Yeah.
place. Of course, Leonard went fucking crazy and started kicking amps over, and he wasn't such a happy front man. And
Yeah.
then so I knew that I was going to get fucked with. Of course, everybody knew it was me that was doing it.
Yeah.
So I went on with like a rain poncho, like gas taped around the wrists and the waist, and I had the hood up. I knew, like, right from the start I was going to get fucked with. As soon as I sat behind the drum kit, the Dickies drummer at the time came behind me, just ripped the whole thing off and poured fish guts down my back. The whole kit, people were walking by just smushing whatever they had found left in their dressing rooms on me. And yeah, you got to take it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm taking it. I did it to you. So anyway, at the end of the gig, I had to throw the drum carpet away because it looked like a food fight had taken place. But the best one was the Marky Ramone thing. He had he was one of those guys. I don't know whether you've ever talked to him, but he would insert himself into a conversation to talk about himself.
I know
So
people like that. Yeah.
yeah, it was like, six dudes in a circle just having a laugh, and he would come and tell you how great he was and tell you Ramones stories that you didn't really want to hear. So I'm like, I should leave him a present. So I sent the runner out I said, get the biggest fish that you can find, and one that hasn't got the guts in it, hopefully. One that has got the guts in it, I mean, hopefully.
Yeah.
They couldn't, but they came back with a big fish. And I'd spoken to Marky's drum tech, and I'm like, so what do you guys got going on next? He's like, oh, yeah, I'll go down to South America, 3 months, and fucking, yeah, it's going to be amazing. I'm like, oh, are you taking your own back line down there? Oh, no, man, they get us everything down there. I'm like, oh, cool. All right. So what are you doing with this back line? Oh, it just goes back into storage for till we get back. I'm like,
Oh no.
okay. So when nobody was looking, I just lifted up his drum pillow in his kick drum and inserted this 10-pound fish, put it back down. He did the gig. The fucking kit goes away. A year later, I see his drum tech at the House of Blues, because I used to work at House of Blues in San Diego for a few years. And he comes through with another band. He's like, you motherfucker. Once I fucking tracked down where that smell was coming from, I fucking opened that kick drum up, ripped the fucking pillow out, and got showered in fucking maggots. I'm like, well, I'm sorry it happened to you, but did you manage to save the kick drum? He's like, no, man, the thing smelled like fucking death. We had to toss that fucking thing. I'm like, wow, couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
That's brutal.
Yeah, so those kind of things. I mean, I've tar and feathered people. Well, with honey and feathers. Yeah. And the last tour we did, I used to do this thing where I used to take the microphone capsule off of the opening band's lead vocal mics, and fill it with poppers. Do you know what that is? Like amyl nitrate.
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
Like the shit that you sniff that gets you high as fuck for about 40 seconds.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You buy it in sex shops or whatever, stores, whatever. So I used to fill their microphone full of that and put it back on. So when they walk up to the mic, they'd be like, they'd be high 40 seconds. So I tried to do that to the opening band, but they delayed getting on stage. So of course it had kind of died away.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I ain't gonna let him get away with this. And I knew the drummer, like I've known him for years, and he's a laugh himself. So I just like snuck behind him on my kit and basically poured poppers all over his shirt while he was playing. Like, he smells it and looks across at me. He's like, "Poppers, you fucker!" High as fuck. So my manager wasn't very happy about that. She's basically telling me I drugged him. Like, I didn't fucking drug him. It's just poppers. She's like, it's a drug.
Yeah.
This is probably really dangerous. I'm like, it's Jamie. He's fine. And anyway, to get me back, he when we went off at the end of this is a gimme show. We went off to get dressed up in Mexican ponchos, mustaches, and little funny hats.
Yeah.
Mini ones though, like little tiny party ones, like Chihuahuas would wear.
Okay.
When I came back on, my whole kit, every drum head was covered in hot salsa. I'm like, oh, mate, I ain't going to hit this. And I went fucking mental because this is a drum kit that I'd had for like 20 years and I loved it. And I was like, if that fucking vinegar chili gets into those fucking shells, I'm going to fucking kick that fucking. Of course, on the side of the stage, videoing this idiot in a poncho and a fucking, I had a mustache as a monobrow.
Yeah.
Little Chihuahua hat on, and he's got it all on video of me going fucking nuts at him, and I wouldn't mind, I don't mind being pranked, but when it's damaging to your gear, I just think it's like you should be a bit smarter, a bit more clever or stupid or whatever. Come and like throw it over my head while I'm playing, but don't expect me to like play the fucking drums and have hot chili going in my eyes
Yeah.
All the way through the encore songs. I ain't that stupid. So
Yeah. And I mean, that is, I think, the always the problem with practical jokes is they can kind of go over that line, and everyone's line is different. That's always the challenging part is, you know.
back in the day, with English dogs we were known as the fecal freedom fighters, the turd terrorists, the anal assassins. We just were fascinated with shit. We thought it was hilarious. I mean, we would have a turd of the tour competition where, you could see if you could lay one that just went all the way around the bowl. And the singer managed to do it one time, funnily enough, in America. Yeah, shit was funny.
Yeah.
When you were a stupid, drunk teenager, shit was funny. We were on a ferry once going on a European tour with One Way System, and it was their driver's birthday. So everybody had to have a cabin, and we knocked on his door and burst in, and he wore clogs, weirdly. He was English, but he wore clogs.
Yeah.
We all fake happy birthdayed him whilst the singer shat in his clog. And then just put it back, and we all left the room, and, walking down the corridor, he opens the door, you bastard, and fucking throws the clog. And the turd fucking cartwheels through the air and lands on our bass player's teeth.
Oh, oh, oh.
To much hilarity from everybody else. I mean, what can you do? What can you do?
I bet you he wasn't laughing.
Oh, he wasn't laughing. He was busy retching in the hallway, and we didn't take many clothes with us, so he was probably wiping this turd off his teeth with one of his 2 t-shirts for the whole tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but to me, I still find it hilarious. We've got 7 cats. I have to find shit hilarious.
7? That's a lot.
Well, some would say 7. I mean, they're all rescues. They all adopted us.
Oh yeah. I know people like that. They're right. Yeah.
We didn't want to have 7, but some of them we saved from coyotes. Some of them just refused to leave. And it's it's just an interesting existence every day with 7 cats interacting with you and themselves,
each other. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, Pinch, I feel like we just kind of started scraping the surface, but like our time is pretty much up.
Oh boy.
Is there any Gimme tours coming up that you want to plug, or?
So we are gonna be on the Flogging Molly Salty Sea Dog cruise.
Oh yeah.
That's an amazing experience. If you've never been, I mean, I know it sells out in advance every year, but it's worth like joining a waiting list in case people cancel. It's I never thought I'd like a cruise, and it was an absolutely amazing experience. I mean, Flogging Molly are just beautiful people, great touring family for a start. But just I thought everybody would be hiding. All the bands were just hanging out, having a great time. I mean, there's 17 open bars and restaurants on the ship. You can imagine, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a great thing. We got more plans coming up in the year to promote our latest debacle of an album, Me First and the Gimmie Gimmies Blow It at Madison's Quinceañera, which was actually recorded at a real quinceañera.
One of my favorite albums is what is it? Gimmie Gimmies Ruin. Is it Joey's Bar Mitzvah?
Yeah. This is like part 2 of that, and it was just as awkward, just full of 15-year-old girls looking on their cell phones and walking out. But that was exactly what we wanted. We wanted it to be a real experience.
Yeah. How does that come about? Like, did they book you specifically, or were you like, hey, can we play this quinceañera?
Well, no. So it was coming out of COVID, and we was reaching out through a radio station to people who couldn't afford to give their kids quinceañera during COVID.
Oh, okay.
And So we said, all right, well, what we'll do is we'll provide the venue, the catering, the DJ, the everything, the transport, the decorations. But we have to be the band that plays.
Yeah.
So this gal Madison and her family, they had no clue who we were. I ain't got a clue whether they had a good, bad, or indifferent time, but she'll remember it for the rest of her life. And
Yeah.
they actually came to see us at the last San Diego gig we played, so we couldn't have gone
Oh, they couldn't have hated it then. Yeah.
we it was Spike the singer's brainchild, really, that he wanted to gear this whole album, every song, towards a young girl's coming of age.
Yeah.
And so we did like authentic Mexican quinceañera songs, and also songs, like Changes by Black Sabbath and stuff like Tina Hart's Dancing Queen, like some standards and classics in the Gimmie style. And it turned out great, and it's breathed new life into the band, because it's a different lineup nowadays.
Yeah. When's that come out?
It came out last year, actually. Did it?
Oh, okay.
It's on Spotify. You can have a laugh. There's videos all over the place of us playing all these stupid tunes, but we're very good at being stupid.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I frequently, like on our other shows, I tend to get a lot of crap and play the idiot and whatever. And every once in a while, I have to remind people, I'm like, I'm not really stupid. Like, I know what I'm doing. So yeah, it's
Hey man, as my other gig, I work production all over the country in casinos.
Yeah.
So I get to meet some real interesting people, and like, for example, Larry the Cable Guy. Larry's a character.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a character that this guy created, and off stage, he's a rock fan, he's a punk fan. He's not Larry the Cable Guy, and the same as Captain Sensible wasn't Captain Sensible. When he's off stage, he's Raymond Burns.
I don't know Captain Sensible.
Oh, he's the legendary damn guitar player.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. Yeah, I was thinking of Bobcat Goldthwait. He did all the Police Academy movies in the '80s, and he's just a normal guy, and like he'll come out on stage now and he'd be like, "Yeah, I don't sound that way. I remember me being different too," and like he's gone on to direct movies and do a ton of shit. It's just,
I'm gonna say cocaine probably had a lot to do with his act back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was the '80s. Cocaine had a lot to do with a lot of acts. So, but awesome, man. I want to say thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, and we'll definitely try to get you back at some point, and hopefully I'll catch you guys next time you're in Boston.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch for sure. Enjoy that horrible...
Yeah, we didn't even get to talk conspiracy theories. I was very excited.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the way I wanted to keep it lighthearted this time. Yeah. Maybe back and we'll go down the rabbit.
Well, see, I find conspiracy theories to be very lighthearted, but that's just me. So,
I mean, when you wake up and you realize what the world is, you either laugh about it or stick your head in the sand like an ostrich, or you just end up being a very morose person, and there's your choices.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thanks again so much, listeners. We'll be back again next week, and make sure you check out the Gimmies when they come to town.
Got it. Rock on.
And thanks for checking out the show today, listeners. If you enjoyed the content today, you can go over to patreon.com/Inebri-art to support the show. You can join over there for just a few dollars a month and help us provide this fun content that you just checked out. You can also email us at Inebri-art.com with your questions, complaints, and concerns, or you can find us on all social medias at Inebri-art or at Inebri-art6 on Instagram. And also don't forget to check out our other shows, Bar Talk Podcast, Old Colony Cast, Inebri-art, and all the other shows on the Inebri-art Network, which you can find at Inebri-art.com. Thanks again for listening.